Good afternoon. It is not often that you get to hear from me 2 days in a row on video, but I had something I wanted to share today. I was doing some spring cleaning recently and came across something that my daughter had written quite a while ago. Actually, I think I figured out that she was 12 years old, either 11 or 12 years old when she wrote this. I think 11 maybe and a half. So anyway, it was in the winter of 1998. And the assignment was apparently to write about, an informative paper maybe? So here's Bonnie's informative paper, on which she got 100 and a great job, interesting. Okay, so Bonnie is 31 now. And this is her paper, so I'm going to read it for those who might not know much about the history of Avon. So I'm going to be sharing this with some of my downline. In fact, I see Deanna right there. I don't know if Deanna knows the history of Avon, maybe a little bit of it. But anyway, we shall find out, and it won't take too long. The founder of the company known today as Avon was Mr. David Hall McConnell. He was born in Oswego, New York on July 18th, 1858. Being brought up on a farm, he went to a district school in the Oswego State Normal School. He was planning to become a math teacher, but entered into business life instead. His first experience in the business world was as a book salesman. After 2 years of selling books, Mr. McConnell was promoted to general traveling agent. He traveled in most states east of the Rocky Mountains and gained much knowledge about the country. Even though he was successful in the book business, he did not like it very much. Eventually, Mr. McConnell purchased the company from his employer. While he was running the business, he learned a lot about how to sell things successfully. While Mr. McConnell was selling books, he had used perfume samples to get homemakers' attention. He discovered that many of them liked the perfumes better than the books. If books could be sold house to house, Mr. McConnell felt that perfumes could too, because he believed that contact in person was the best and most effective way to sell products. He wanted to make a line of goods that would be used up quickly and to have sales agents sell them directly to the customers. His former employer and friend had moved to California and written him about the beautiful flowers there. So Mr. McConnell named his company the California Perfume Company. I've got a cat scratching at the window and the phone ringing. So let me just see if I can get rid of that. Always something, right? Okay. Okay. Let's see. He named his company the California Perfume Company, even though he produced the products in a tiny room in New York City. The company began in 1886. In the beginning, the company only made 5 natural flower fragrances in a set called the Little Dot Perfume Set. These were, and I'd probably pronounce this wrong, heliotrope, hyacinth, white rose, violet, and lily of the valley. These were made the same way the large French perfumers used. The perfumes sold well, and Mr. McConnell added other items like almond cream balm, witch hazel cream, and shampoo cream. At the end of 2 years, the California Perfume Company had 1 whole floor of the building it began in just for manufacturing products. The first sales representative of the California Perfume Company was Mrs. Persis Foster Eames Albee, who had been an excellent general agent in Mr. McConnell's book business. She was 50 years old, married to a United States senator, and had 2 children who were grown when she began selling the perfumes. In the early days of the California Perfume Company, representatives were called agents or depot managers. Mrs. Albee, always dressed in elegant clothing, sold the products door to door to her friends and neighbors in Winchester, New Hampshire. As she was selling, she recruited other women to sell also. By the end of 12 years, Mrs. Albee had recruited and taught about 5,000 representatives. Mr. McConnell said, "It is, therefore, only befitting that we give her the honorary title of Mother of the California Perfume Company. For the system that we now use for distributing our goods is the system that was put in practical operation by Mrs. Albee." Mrs. Albee was with the California Perfume Company for 25 years. Since she contributed so much to Avon during its years as the California Perfume Company, actually serving as the first Avon lady, many awards given to Avon representatives today feature her likeness. One of these is a hand-painted porcelain figurine called a Mrs. Albee. Okay, so I've got two of my Mrs. Albees right here. That's not the whole story. I'll get back to that, but I wanted to go ahead and show you a couple of the Mrs. Albees. I have 26 of these, I believe it is. Now, the lighting is not going to make it look too great, but they are porcelain. They tell the year and a little bit about Avon here on the bottom. And this is an award given to Avon representatives for many years when they reach the President's Club level. Now, these days, Avon is giving people who reach that level of sales points so that they can get the Mrs. Albee if they like, or they can get other merchandise if they prefer. I'm still getting Mrs. Albee every year. So you see the detail on this. This is Mrs. Albee sitting in her chair in a customer's house. She's got her Avon brochure in her hand. Doesn't look like our Avon brochures today, but there it is. And she's got her collection of Avon products here that she has brought along to sell this day. So all of the Mrs. Albees have the same look about them in the face, but their style is different, okay? This one I've got out on display right now because it's a little springier. We have them for looking like all seasons of the year, and some special ones like the anniversary year for Avon. And both of these I've got out today are kind of in the same colors, but this is traveling Mrs. Albee. She's got her hat box. It's got a little fabric string here. Got her hat box and her satchel and her product. Not her products, but her trunk. So this is from 2002. The other one is from 2011. I had been an Avon rep 5 years before I actually earned my first Mrs. Albee, because in the early days I was raising two little toddlers, so I wasn't selling quite as much. Today, what you have to sell in order to earn the points to get Mrs. Albee is $10,000 in Avon products in a year's time. $10,000 in award sales is what gets you the points to get the Mrs. Albees. I just love, they always have roses or, you know, flowers of some kind on them. I'm pretty sure all of them do. Some look like Christmas. In the year 2000, the millennium, we have a Mrs. Albee standing by a grandfather clock that's striking midnight, and she's at a party, obviously, ringing in the new millennia. But they're always dressed in the period costuming like you saw in these. I think what she's got in her hand in that one, maybe that's her, oh, it's her wallet, I guess. It's got her wallet to take on her trip. Okay, so back to our story. When the perfume business grew too big for him to handle by himself, Mr. McConnell hired a French perfumer named Adolphe Gotting, who worked in the perfume business for 25 years. In 1897, the company built a new laboratory in Suffern, New York. The first illustrated Avon book was made in that year also. The California Perfume Company's products had grown to more than 100 by the 20th year of its existence. In 1914, the The company expanded into Canada and opened an office in Montreal. Sorry, I know how to say that. The company had reached $1 million in annual sales, with products being distributed throughout the nation by 1920. When David McConnell traveled to England, he saw that the site of his laboratory and William Shakespeare's place of birth, Stratford-on-Avon, were very much alike in appearance. At first, he just used the brand name Avon on a line of products of the California Perfume Company, which in the beginning included cleanser, a toothbrush, and a vanity set. However, in 1939, 2 years after Mr. McConnell's death, the company name was changed to Avon Products Incorporated. And that's where hers ends. And of course, she's got all of her she's got an outline actually of dates and events. Let's see, by 1902, there were 10,000 representatives. In 1903, the Kansas City, Missouri branch was opened. In, 1906, the first company advertisement was published. The product was Rose's Perfume, and it was in the magazine Good Housekeeping. And during 1912, more than 5 million products were sold. Let's see. In 1915, the Panama Pacific International Exposition Gold Medal for Packaging and Quality was won by the company. And they reached the million mark of sales in 1920. I believe that was mentioned earlier. Let's see. Oh, they were having 3 weeks. In 1932, in August, the 3-week selling campaigns began. Representatives have been sending in orders every month. Oh, they were sending them in every month up to that time, so an order a month. Because of the change, there was a sales increase of over 70% during the bleak years of the Depression. So, and that year, the specials started coming about with products sold at prices less than regular prices. And of course, you know, products are always on special prices nowadays. At least every 6 weeks or so, whatever you're needing is going to be on sale. So anyway, we were turning in orders every three weeks at that time. Now orders are turned in every 2 weeks. Okay. In 1936, Kansas City, Wichita, and Oklahoma City were divided into territories, and a representative was given a territory to cover with a manager in charge, and that later became the Universal Avon sales structure. It is not the structure now, and there was a change we'll mention a little bit later. Okay, so then in 1937, the home office was moved to 30 Rockefeller Plaza in New York City, and David McConnell died at the age of 79. It was in 1939 that the company name was changed to Avon Products Incorporated. In the years 1942 to 1945, Avon joined the war effort. Over 50% of the Suffern plant was converted to production for the armed forces. In 1955, sales brochures were introduced to support campaign selling, and that's the way we still do our sales. Of course, we've got our online e-stores for people to order, but we still have those brochures to pass out to local customers. And in 1968, that is when the 2-week selling period was introduced, which we still use. In 1971, in the U.S., jewelry was introduced for the first time. And then from 1972 to the present time, sales topped the $1 billion mark and continued to go up worldwide. Now, since this was written, quite a number of years ago, like I said, in 1998, there have been some changes, of course, because we went online. We've got our online stores now instead of just representatives coming, to your house to take orders and do deliveries. And representatives are no longer assigned territories. We sell to whomever, wherever. But the biggest change that happened was I think it's like a little bit over a year ago, when Avon in North America was invested in by a company called Cerebus. And so Avon US split off from Avon International. We are a separate entity now. You'll still just see the Avon name, but we know that Avon North America is New Avon LLC. That's our official name. Okay, so that's the history of Avon. Maybe you learned something today about this company that is, let's see, started in what did we say was the first year? We're over 140 years old anyway. Let's see, 1886. Isn't that over 140 years? Isn't that right, you guys? 130 years. Maybe that was it. 130. I can't do math in my head when I'm doing a video. Let's say 1886 to 1986 would be 100 years. 96. 2006. 2016. 130 years. Yeah. I was giving us a few extra. Over 130 years old. Okay. Have a great weekend.